Hey, so I was watching the recent interview that Joe Rogan did with Elon Musk, and I kind of, was sort of listening to it. I was kind of in and out, to be honest, between sleep and listening. But so I captured bits and pieces of it, and it was really interesting how he was talking about. So there's actually quite a couple of points that he made that were kind of cool, but. Whenever he's in an interview, they ask him about his secret to success, and I don't really like the sort of question where they ask what's your secret to success, like there's just one thing or something. But all the same, it's sort of interesting because every time I've heard him ask that question, he'll always say it's to have a really great product, right? To have a really good product. And at one point, I remember him saying that they don't do any advertising for their car. I don't know how true that is or if it's still true, but it's sort of cool to see that this is like. Now, I'm not for not advertising, by the way. I think advertising is pretty important, but it is also important to recognize how your best customers, or rather, if you serve your customers well, they become an ad for you. They start to go around and talk about your product in a good way, which spreads the word about your product, and it gets you, more marketing. It's probably much more effective, that sort of marketing, than any kind of advertising where you have to go and talk about yourself in an ad. Now, I don't think that in our industry enough people focus on the product. They put a lot of energy and effort into creating really great marketing, and they, really the slickest of marketing, the best of work that they do is on the marketing. They put most of their energy and effort into it. But then when it comes time to fulfill on the product, to actually deliver a really great product, that's where they completely fall short. It's almost like they half-ass the product. Now, what I've always observed is that you could get away with bad marketing for a really good product, okay? But if you have a really bad product, even the best of marketing can't save it. Even if because ultimately what you're going to have to do is either you sell it by lying to people, by tricking them, and then they're going to find out when they buy the product and they're like, oh, wow, that was a real letdown, and they go and spread the bad word about it, which is, probably not the best of things. You probably don't want that to happen generally. Or else you are just, you don't have anything good to say about your product, or very little good to say about your product. You can say, hey, that it sort of almost kind of solves this problem, or whatever. It's not the kind of advertising you want. So yeah, that was one of the really cool things that he talked about, and I think that I think it's what the same sort of attitude I take in my work, because I think, like, when I think about it, it's like the sales letter that I've done for the Super Traffic Machine. I wrote that years ago. I haven't updated that letter. I haven't tried to split test its headline or do anything drastic to change it or make it better. In fact, it was almost a thrown together page. I know it's pretty long descriptive page, but it really isn't. It's not my best work as far as I know. And even the landing page is kind of, I made this sort of landing page when I first launched it. The one that we're using now is the home page. And when I came to do the homepage for the new YaghiLabs website, I was like, oh yeah, okay, we'll just use elements of that, and kind of again sort of half-assed it. It's not really a great example of good marketing. I wouldn't personally advise you to take it as a good example of good marketing. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not my proudest work either. Even like my ad campaigns, I kind of they're working, and so I don't really touch them. I don't play with them too much. And even the onboarding stuff, the onboarding newsletter series. So those are really good emails that I had actually, they weren't designed specifically for a marketing purpose. They were just, at the time when I created that series, I was coming back to and I didn't create it as an onboarding series at the time. When I created it to sort of, I knew I was coming back to my mailing list after having not spoken to them for a really long time. And I had to come in and regain their trust, give them some value, that they can feel like, he's not just coming in here and, back to business as usual after having just disappeared forever. I had to also show that I was consciously trying to show that, look, I've grown, and this is not just going to be more of the same old stuff. I'm saying some new things here. There's some new information that I have to share with you. Therefore, I'm valuable. So when, ultimately that was a really good series in gaining that trust, building the authority and so on. But it was not a great series for making sales because it does not have a very, aggressive call to action. It's not like product focused and that kind of thing. And so when I came to put an onboarding series at the beginning of our, for somebody who first joins the list, I was like, well, I kind of need something to put here. I don't know what to put, but hey, this is a pretty good series. It builds trust, it's so on and so forth, and I put it in. So I wouldn't say it's half-assed, but it is. It's not. Again, it's not like, I know that it's not the best of the best thing to get, instant sales. I mean, it's not really working for me in that regard. But come to the last, as I started to do the business command center, I've worked ridiculous. Okay, so first of all, the super traffic machine, we spent a year of dedicated full-time work between like 3 different people, at least 3 people who were working on it almost full-time around the clock for like a year. Okay, and it was a stellar product. It was an amazing product. No half-assing there at all. Nothing. And even when that meant that we were delayed and it was going to impact the the release of the product, we just kept going. And then the business command center, which I recently launched, I spent maybe 3-4 days on the sales letter, which is probably more than I would have normally spent on the sales letter, to be honest. But then I spent a great deal of time just perfecting the delivery of the presentation, the things that I had to, the material that was used there, like the scripts, the automation of that, making sure that it ran smoothly, figuring out what I was going to teach. Going through everything multiple times, tearing down the entire thing, running through that presentation over and over, trying to figure out how to streamline it and make it more, more of a, like trying to fit it into the amount of time. And then when it came time to decide between like, do I cut this down and shorten it and, end up with a crappy product? Or do I just make it long and say, screw it, let it be longer? In the end, I was like, no, I'm going to make it long. I'm going to go through all the things that were promised. I'm going to show people all the stuff that they need to learn. And, it's going to be a longer video, and so what? And then I came out of that, and I've been like, for the last few days, ever since the presentation, doing support for the people who attended, and taking. So originally, I was thinking to just take the material and transcribe it, and then post it to people physically, so that they have a physical copy of this, and it'll be like a thing to review. And in the end, when I looked at the transcript, I was like, yeah, this is bullshit. This is rubbish. It's not a useful piece of material. So I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to go through and do like step-by-step screenshots showing all the stuff the same way that we did in the super traffic machine. And what that ends up being is practically another manual. And I was like, fuck yeah, so what? That's awesome. Let's do that. It's more time, it's more work, it's more financial investment. Even like just producing the material is, uh, like printing it. It's a bigger expense than I had anticipated that it would be, and so on. And I was like, yeah, it's cool. Let's make a really great, fantastic product. So you can see the difference. And if I don't know if you know any other marketers, if you know their process, but I've seen quite a few marketers, and honestly, they will spend so much time on building out that sales letter, on perfecting the headline on it, and ensuring that it's going to get as many people in as possible. And then when it comes to the delivery, like, yeah, whatever, okay, whatever it is, let's just get her done. We've got all the people that we need, that's it. So here I am, instead of like focusing on sending more emails and getting more people into our product, I'm saying no, let's serve the customers that we have, and then later on we can think about bringing more people in. Anyway, so I'm going to move on to the other thing that I got out of the interview that was also quite cool. So Musk was talking about, this is a little bit technical for those of you who like to hear some technical traffic stuff, I guess, sort of technical. Anyway, so he was talking about how there's a love-hate relationship between him and the regulatory authorities. And then he was basically saying that we need regulation for AI, but then he kind of started talking about the regulatory, I forget what its name is, sorry, but the regulatory authority that sort of governs the safety of vehicles and stuff like that. And he starts talking, he says basically whatever the requirements are, we go above and beyond those. So whatever the regulatory authority is asking of them, if they say airbags need to be, have these specifications, they need to work in this way, they'll go and they'll 10 times whatever it is that they asked for, so that they're like well above that margin of error. So they basically allow the regulatory authority, whose job it is to ensure the safety of the users of the product, to sort of guide them into what they need to do. And then they go, okay, you know what, we're going to run with it. And they go and he'll go to all those extra lengths to do that. So he was talking about how with airbags, it's like they're automatic. There's like a machine learning algorithms that sort of figure out the best, how to deploy, how much to deploy based on the weight, and it's like dynamically calculate the weight and the position of the person and where they're sitting on the seat, the weight distribution and things like that, and it's dynamically figuring out how to do this at all times. And it's just amazing, like the level of detail that he got into with what their systems are doing to ensure that they are with not just they're just meeting the minimum standards, but they're actually going well beyond that. Now, this is also similar to what I did, the attitude I took with Google when, all of the idiots in our industry who could have been, doing so much better, and they could have been around for a lot longer because they had a major head start, right? They were running ads on Google Ads. They were spending fortunes on there. And then when Google said, hey, you guys are doing some bad stuff, this is not okay, and they stopped them, these guys, what they chose to do is to point the finger and say, F Google, they're being dicks, and we don't, and they didn't even bother to try to understand or to change how they were doing business, that it might actually fit within that. And I had that struggle a lot of the times too, when those guys would see me on Google, and they, like later on, they'd see me on Google and be like, hey, how come that fucker is still on Google? Like, we thought he was, a nobody. Turns out he's, he seems to know something, because he's still on there. We're all kicked off. So they'd come back and they're like, hey, can you manage our Google? Can you help us get back on Google? And when I tell them what to do, they were like, yeah, we're not doing that. Basically, what I didn't do anything majorly. I mean, I did basically what Musk was talking about, which was that I looked at what Google was asking of us as advertisers, and I did that, and then I one-upped it. I went to the next level because I was like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. Like, I didn't look at it as a bad thing. I was like, so Google is trying to ensure that my advertising does not mislead customers, and that I'm basically running an ethical business. Well, I want to run an ethical business, and I don't want to mislead anybody, and I don't want to make sales at the expense of, I don't want to make sales while misleading people. And basically, I don't want the worst nightmare would be for somebody to go around and actually legitimately, not falsely, but legitimately call me a scammer, and for me to have actually done something wrong for them to be saying that. And so I was like, okay, you know what? This makes sense. They're creating a map for me of exactly what I need to do to make my advertising safe, to make my advertising compliant, to save me. In fact, not only that, they're saving me getting into any court cases or lawsuits or anything like that. So why am I not going to listen? So what I did was I adopted whatever they asked for. And so, for example, disclaimers are one of the things that, end up being a major issue. So I've seen people who, like I saw one ad, one of the competitors of one of my clients. He showed me their site, and this site he was in the male enhancement niche, and the site that he showed me was like selling basically in the same way that he does, is basically promising that their natural product is going to make a guy who is not physically able to get hard, right, by any kind of medication, that this natural product of theirs is not only going to make him get hard, but it's actually going to make him get big physically. Like, it's just absolute craziness. So they're running this, and they're running on Google, and they're running without any trouble, right? And all that they've done is they managed to put in a disclaimer that's like one sentence long that says, these results are not typical, or something along those lines. And he's like, how come we're running a disclaimer that's this long? It's like this big ass paragraph, right? It's not discreet or anything. It's like right there at the top. How come we're running this? This has got to be killing sales. I'm like, yeah, but it's also ensuring that you're not getting refunds, and it's keeping you out of any court problems, right? And it's ensuring that we stay on Google, because my guess is that these guys are not okay. Like, Google's going to crack down on them at some point. So whatever they build is going to be destroyed. He wasn't having it, of course, but that's how I did things. And sure, I probably lose some sales on the front end, but I think that it's worthwhile, because I've learned how to make sales with that disadvantage of not being able to bullshit like those guys do, right? Whereas they don't know how to sell without bullshitting. They don't know how to sell without lying. They don't know how to sell without scamming people out of their money. They don't have good products. They make promises that they can't back up. And almost, dude, everywhere they go, they're basically looked at as a criminal by almost every service that they go after. They have to try out multiple services before one will accept them. Okay. Whereas with me, this is how I've always, like, for at least the last probably 10 or so years, this is how I've run my business, and I have had no issues with Google. I've had no issues generating traffic. I haven't had any, major complaints from anybody who was, dissatisfied, who thought that we, made promises that weren't fair or whatever, and then we didn't deliver on them, or anything of that sort. And actually, there have been times where, if people did complain, and not because it was, not because it was unethical or something like that, but if people did complain because of a mistake that we made, it would have been natural, and people still didn't complain, because, like, my intentions were always good, and that was always clear. So this is what we have done. This is what I've ensured that I teach in the Super Traffic Machine. I teach students how to run compliant businesses that shouldn't have any trouble with running on Google. This is why I think of it as a relearning for many people who've been in the industry for a little while, because they've been taught a lot of this bad stuff that doesn't result in ethical marketing, essentially, and they've been taught it as best practices. With what we teach in the super traffic machine, it's like from the ground up, you're building even from the idea stage. Because, for instance, people will tell you, all you need to know is just a little bit about something, and then you can go and you can market to that market. What are you talking about, dude? You're setting yourself up to be basically a liar. Because the moment that you come to teach people about traffic, for instance, because I've seen so many people come to me for traffic consultations and done-for-you services, and they themselves have no idea how to even generate one lead. And they come to me and they want to be traffic experts. They want to actually sell themselves as traffic experts. Dude, what are you doing? How? What you're going to end up doing is you're going to make promises. You're going to have to fake it. You're going to have to lie, so that people would come and sign up and buy from you, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So right from the ground level, I say, hey, when you want to build up, when you want to figure out what audience you want to go after, what you want to sell, in the brand plan manual, we talk about, first of all, figuring out what it is that you have knowledge in and expertise in, so that you can then sell that thing, right? Right from the very start. If you're selling something where you actually have knowledge and expertise in, and by the way, everyone has knowledge and expertise in something. I know lots of people think, there's so many people out there, maybe I'll do another video about this. So many people, they think, oh, come on, I don't know anything about anything. I don't know anything well enough to do any training on, or whatever it is. But everybody knows something, okay? Everybody has some knowledge about something that other people don't, there are people who want to learn about that thing, and they don't know enough about it, okay? So right from that level, and then, when you build your website, dude, I can't tell you how many people, for instance, I've seen like big name brands in the marketing industry who, when you go to try to find a place to contact them, there's no physical address posted on their website. There's no physical address. There's no phone number. Okay? Why is there no physical address, no phone number? There's no contact information for them. Well, obviously you have something to hide. If you are willing to share your contact information as a business, you should be willing to share your contact information. You welcome people calling up your business and inquiring about your products. You welcome people sending in emails and inquiring about your products, right? Normally, that's how a normal business operates. So why are you hiding? Why are you hiding how people should reach you? So that's like in the website manual, this is one of contact is one of the areas we talk about in the website manual, and in the in even the offer and how we build our offer, we create like this product that is fictional to begin with. We pitch an imaginary product. We let our imaginations go wild. We just pitch this amazing product and we do basically the guru exercise, but then we don't go and sell that. We go and we figure out, okay, cool. So this is what it takes to sell a product in a way that people would be excited to buy it. Cool. Now let's go and find such a product that meets all of those requirements. And if we can't find it, how can we make these things become true through our product, through some sort of a bonus, an extra thing that we might add to it? And if we can't do that, if we still can't do it, then we go back and we tune our presentation, and we tone down any promises that we made where we are not able to deliver them, or remove those promises if there's no way to make those promises come true. So even to that level, even the product, like I know a lot of affiliate marketers, they'll try to promote a product that they've never purchased, they've never tried out, they have no idea what it's like. They're just using the marketing that the publisher has said about it to go and market to promote that product. You gotta at least try it. I mean, you're gonna sit there and promote a product as an affiliate, at least you can have a unique perspective on what this product does. I've tried it out. Here's what I thought of it. You know, some opinion about the product that you're promoting as an affiliate. So if you haven't purchased the product in the first place, then how are you going to sit here and recommend it to other people? On what basis? Right? On what basis would you promote it? Because it gives you a commission. Well, that's also wrong and unethical. Anyway, so I've gone on too long about this, but I think you guys get the idea. So those are some of the things that I got out of that interview. I encourage you to take a look at it as well. It's pretty cool. It's always good to hear from, people who are truly successful and to know what they are, how they think.